Be very quiet. I'm hunting mathematical formulas. I finally found it.
Fancy intro music, yeah! Woo!
Hey there, Star Trek Fleet Command fans. Here it is. The answers to all of your questions with battle logs. Mitigation. How does it work? And what does it mean? And seriously, what does it mean? Well, the answer we've actually had for quite some time. And in fact, Quirky Zombie, who shout out to Quirky Zombie, created a mitigation calculator that I'll show later on in this video. You can actually see how it works. And there's a formula, albeit a complicated formula, for determining what mitigation is. But what I want to do is I'm going to save the complicated stuff for the end of the video and start off with the basics. What is mitigation? How does it work? And how does it determine what damage is? Before that, though, I have to really quickly answer what type of damages there are. Because what happened is I got into a conversation recently with a player on my main server where they were talking about, well, this makes me have more shield damage and this makes me have more hull damage. So then I began to realize, well, there's a misconception about damage in general in the game. There's one singular type of damage, just damage. Now this damage gets forked down a road into multiple paths. Mitigation is one of those paths. Depending on a shield strength and hull strength, you've got shield damage and hull damage, but it's all one damage. It's all this. This is all one type of damage. So there's not a way to boost shield damage versus boosting hull damage. It comes down to mitigation and how that mitigation splits your damage to the different parts of the road. So let's talk about what affects what in these battles. So I'm going to pull up a ship right here. We've got plenty of ships in the background to choose from, and you'll see they're right on the other side of the map. We'll go to our details screen and start here. So on the attack, you see damage per round, armor piercing, shield piercing, and accuracy. Now, armor piercing is typically what you're going to use to fight battleships, and that is what interceptors are typically loaded out with. So interceptors typically have more armor piercing to go against the high armor of battleships. Then you have shield piercing. This is what battleships like the Augur usually have. They do have. And that's to fight against explorers. So if I'm fighting in an Enterprise, it's going to have more shields, thus I have more shield piercing, which changes my mitigation rate against the strength of that ship. And then finally, you have accuracy, which counters out dodge. And that's the only one that doesn't have a direct armor piercing to armor, shield piercing. Accuracy is for anti-dodge, which you have down here. So from the attack standpoint, you have all three of these categories, which work towards mitigation. And then you also have all three in defense, the exact same way that work towards mitigation. So armor piercing, being stronger than your armor, changes the mitigation rate, or basically lowers how much you're able to mitigate the damage. Having shield deflection be lower than the shield piercing that's coming after you has the same effect. And then finally, having more accuracy over your dodge has that effect. Now, let's get even more specific. Different types of ships have different base rates for their numbers. For example, you look at surveys and armadas. Surveys and armadas have a different base for armor piercing, shield piercing, and dodge or accuracy, and vice versa of 0.3. And I'll give you that, like I said, we'll give you the formula for it later on. We're covering basics. Whereas attack ships have 0.55, I'm sorry, and then 0.2 for the others. So what that means is, like how you see this armor being really high, this is a 0.55 and this is 0.2. That'll only matter for those of you who really want to get into the deep nitty-gritty of the formulas and the mitigation calculator. And once again, Quirky Zombie, Gregor, a random name, plenty of us and mostly them have been working on this for quite some time. So you'll have all that at the end of this video. I'll even link it down in the comment section below. But how mitigation works is taking the damage that you create, so that's right up here, the DPR, and then changing that completely into where that damage goes. So if you have your shields up, your shields are always going to take damage. But then you're always going to have a bypass where shields never take complete damage, ever. No matter what, shields do not absorb 100% of the damage. So think of it like having layers. And I've got layers here. We got layers here. You've got a shield layer and a hull layer. The mitigation determines how much of the weapon actually hits you. So whether it hits directly, glances off the side, that type of thing. That's all that mitigation does. You're still hitting these two items, and one of them is going to take damage. So let's move on to the next point of this and look at a battle log, because I think that's where a lot of the meat and potatoes of this is going to be. You know, it's years of searching. We're showing you how to work out the crazy math of Scopely. So let's look at me getting hit by Knifey. Hey, Knifebeard, shout out to you, because I left my auger just floating in space during Crucible of War, so it went pew pew. Now he had Yuki as captain. Remember, Yuki does a shield strip. This is one of the reasons I use this one, because I want to show you what it looks like when I have no shields versus when I do. Also is doing a shield piercing buff, where I don't actually have a I love that we have this now so we can actually see where their armor and shields and all the piercing are. So you see that, like, their attack versus mine, my armor is 112k, their armor piercing is 114, so they've already got a bonus versus that. Their shield piercing is 10k, so already above my shield deflection, and their accuracy 7920, already above. So what that means is they're going to get maximum mitigation against me. The battle triangle is going to work to their advantage in every way. So let's back it on up and take a look at the log itself. So you're going to see right here, damage dealt 283,591, and I mitigated 87,000. That's right at 30% mitigation. That's low, like low. I took 70% of the damage. And you see my shields are going to take that in right here. And you see the ratio of what a shield takes versus the hull stays about the same. Now, if we come on down here, Yuki's activating. Remember, Yuki's activating every round. So eventually I'm going to lose my shields. Right, where's my shield loss? Where's the auger destroyed? But where's the shield loss? Don't tell me it lost at the very last round. Am I blind? It's quite possible that I've gone blind. Okay, there's 0 shield damage, 0 shield damage, 0. All right, so shields are down here. I'm apparently missing where it happened. It happened somewhere around here where Yuki activated, and it did not prompt the shields are depleted. So now we get into this, and this is a much smaller hit. So let's skip to the next one. So this is right around what we were seeing before. Shields are gone, and we can still pull out our calculator. Wrong button there. Still put our calculator, and we can see 7333552 divided by 239069. So a 30.6, which is right what we were doing at the very first. But you see now, shields are gone, so the remaining damage goes directly into the hull. And this is why I talked about there's only one type of damage. There's only one singular type of damage. There's not shield damage. There's not hull damage. There's simply shields, which then only pass through. They trickle through some of the damage and absorb most of it. But once they're gone, you take a full on. So if you go and add 73352 plus 165717, you get, wowzer, 239069. Crazy how that works. Weird. So let's go back up to the shields though, just to show you what I'm saying. Let's look at the last time, or we knew the shields were up. So if we do 147, hit the num lock, 685 plus 36921, we get 184. And then we have to add in what was mitigated here. See, I'm right here, by the way, right here. We have to add in what was mitigated. So that would be plus 81713, and we get exactly 266,319. So now the question is, how much are the shields actually helping save your butt? So all we got to do is go back to our math. 147,685 divide by 266,319, and we get 55%. So I figured, hey, let's just jump straight into the calculator so I can show it to you how it works. We're going over the basics of mitigation. The key to really know about mitigation, really all you need to understand is that mitigation just does what it says. It takes incoming damage and diverts a percentage of that away. Now, to determine how much percentage gets diverted away, you can actually use this calculator if you want to. So we talked about what my ship had. So remember that had it, well, let's just say it had 115,000 armor, and it had 12,000 shield deflection and 13,000 dodge, something like that. So this would tell you that based on this ship attacking me here, having these numbers, get a 41% mitigation in terms of damage mitigation. Now remember, all of this in mind depends entirely on how you're building your ship. And this even goes into crewing. The ultimate goal would be to have greater mitigation in all three phases. So say I did that, let's say this was 15,000 and this was 15,000. Now I've got a mitigation down to 32. So lowering the mitigation by increasing all three. Problem is, it's really, really difficult to get all three of these higher than your primary. But this is why when you're going against, say, the Enterprise, let's turn that shield deflection up 125,000 and just 15,000. And let's knock this all the way down. So now we've got our base, the highest mitigation can go 71.2. So that's the highest it goes. Remember this, and also just a real quick reminder, that one on the right is not got, we are not pretending that it has Zal on it or anything, because there's officers that manipulate mitigation, and that does matter. So we're just talking about basic ship, just a basic ship. Let's pull out a basic ship. Let's say that my Vidar to go against the Enterprise is 24, 2700, 2000, 24, 20. Wow. 24, 2500, 2000. So 24,000, 2500, 2000. So if my Vidar went against the Enterprise, an Enterprise that I've created over there, it's just a make-believe Enterprise number, I'd only get a 5% drop in mitigation. So it would be mitigating almost all of my attack. That's what mitigation does. That's why it's so important, and that's why officers like, Marcus, the father, not Carol Marcus, but her dad, why he's so important, because he gives you a continual boost to this shield piercing. So then when you get to 150,000, you notice just that singular bit growing has now taken us from 71.2 when we had nothing down to 42. So now over half of our damage is getting through to the ship. Now, for the more complicated way of how this works, here's the definition. Damage mitigation has three components: armor, shield, deflection, and dodge. For each component, divide the corresponding defensive value by the corresponding piercing value and look up the mitigation in the chart below. More precisely, given that the defender's armor, which is DA, defender's shield deflection, DS, and dodge, DD, attacker armor piercing, here's your formula that you're looking for. This is the mitigation formula. Right here. This is the complicated, yes, it is a complicated formula for determining what everything fits. And if you want to know what F is, then you have to know your attack, your armor piercing, your shield piercing, your dodge. For all the ships, surveys are different. Interceptors, explorers, you got to understand where the numbers come from. But if you want to know and how you have a diminishing return after a certain point for mitigation. But here's the complicated mess of how all this works with the calculator in the comment section below. The basics though, the basics. This is why Marcus is so good fighting the Enterprise, why Sharvanik is so good fighting the Augur, and why even Uhura can be good, even though she's really small in her growth, fighting interceptors early on, because those numbers are small, but you're not overcoming a wide range. So this is what you're looking for. And I know this short video can't answer all your questions, so you got to drop them down below. But this is mitigation. It's complicated, but once you know it, it can help you understand why we're loading out officers certain ways and why we're doing things the way we do them. And as always, live long and prosper. Stay safe out there, Space Cowboys. I hope you enjoyed this video because I enjoyed making it for you. Love y'all. God bless. We'll catch you next one. Comment down below and like this video. That's all I ask. An even better outro than the intro. Yeah!